back to the EsportsEarnings Caster Invitational Grand Finals. My name is Fear Dragon. I am still joined by Harstem, and we are getting started with our final series of the day, of the night, wherever you may be. Get excited for this Protoss versus Zerg between these two fantastic players. Harstem, I want to hear some predictions, man.
Some predictions.
You don't even have to predict the score. I just want you to predict something about this series.
ToD. I'm predicting ToD. ToD is winning.
Oh, ToD. You predict ToD will win. All right, man. Well, we'll see how things go. As we start up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, top of the blue Zerg player, give it up for the Frenchie YoGo. Which I say, despite the fact that this man down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map is also a Frenchie. It is the red Protoss player, ToD. And I think we're reviewing this. The matches for ToD. ToD has only dropped one game this entire tournament, and it was to In Control in a PvP.
To be fair, YoGo only dropped 2 maps.
Mm-hmm.
And it was to Rotterdam in a Z.
He could have dropped a map to me. It could have happened.
No. We already discussed this yesterday. I don't think it could have happened. You guys could have still been playing by now, and the only reason you would win a map is because you would have fallen asleep.
Fair enough. I'm not going to argue too much on that one. But,
take a look at ToD's base layout. He decided not to wall off downstairs, which is a little odd. Nowadays, we always see the wall being started on the bottom of the ramp to already get a head start with that. So I'm curious to see what ToD is going to do to wall off now, because I don't think he can get enough buildings to properly wall in time. He also didn't scout, so whatever tech he is getting is going to be very, very quick. Let's take a look at this.
This is also going to be difficult against YoGo, who we've seen throughout this series has been very aggressive, loves putting on the Overlord drop play, as well as even just running in lings at the front. I mean, we saw a Baneling bus attempt, I believe, on this map, or maybe Ascension to Eye, or one of the two. So this could be a really dangerous maneuver from ToD. Okay, well, he is getting at the pylon now. You can eventually wall this off with some of the additional tech, but like you were saying, he's going to probably throw the tech a little bit sooner rather than later, and possibly at the front where it's going to be easily scouted.
Yeah, it's he can put the tech in the main base, which I think is the right call, but then his wall is just going to be terrible.
Yeah. Oh, he does put the tech in the main base. And he's not... The other thing is he's not getting a mothership core. So if there are lings that just run into the main base, he's relying purely on these gateway units, and I suppose potentially an oracle that stays at home to deal with a big ling flood.
Yeah, I guess. Let's see what YoGo has planned. Once again, getting these 4 queens before he gets the third base, which really delays the third base, and also really delays the drone production, as he doesn't really have the money to build drones continuously. As you see, he is floating 5 larvae at this moment, and he just doesn't have the money to do anything about it, really. We just see a couple of creep tumors coming down. Where is the first oracle for ToD? Just starting right now. So he has 1 adept and 1 stalker. Second adept just finishing up. ToD trying to wall in with a pylon, but this is not a full wall, ToD, and you know it. Here we go, Twilight Council to complete this wall off, and see what ToD's plan are with that Twilight Council. Most likely just going to be for adept speed.
Yeah.
There is an Overlord heading towards the main base of ToD, and there is an Evolution Chamber that's about to finish, so that might be something that we want to keep paying attention to. We do not see any links on the map, so it might just be for the +1.
Yeah, there's also a Phoenix coming out, so ToD, having watched that last series versus Rotterdam, is most likely going to know, yeah, I should probably be pretty careful and diligent. He has a pylon planted on the left-hand side of his main base, ready to scout out for drop Overlords, and the Phoenix should also be able to clean up that Overlord as well, but Baneling Nest and drones on the way. This is actually looking a lot more like a standard ZVP than we've seen from YoGo, I think, in any of the games he's played so far.
Yeah, for sure. He's been very cheesy in the series against Rotterdam. He's been pulling out basically everything out of his hat. There's just crazy strategies all around, basically, except for the final game, I guess. But this time, it actually looks like a standard game. And here we go. Stasis Ward being put down by ToD, but his Oracle is in the range of the Spore and barely survives. If YoGo would have hit one more time with the Queen, that Oracle would have been dead. 3 more Adepts being warped in right now. Going to be a total of 8 Adepts, but still basically a minute away from Glaives finishing. So I think we're going to see 1 or 2 more warp-ins. So it's either going to be 11 or 14 Adept attack. YoGo seems to be kind of ready for that though, doesn't he, Fear Dragon?
Yeah, not only does he have the Banelings, but you were talking about that early evolution chamber that we were both speculating, oh, is this going to be for the Overlord drops again? But he might actually have +1 melee done before these Adepts finally end up getting cleaned up, and he can take advantage of being able to kill them off a little bit faster.
Yeah, definitely. There's also a couple of Banelings already here, and Glaives isn't finished yet. ToD not paying attention to his Adepts, which might be a fatal mistake for him. Here we go. Shade coming in a little late. Does catch a lot of these links, but he lost so many Adepts already. He can't really push in anymore, I feel like. Only 5 Adepts left, 16 links with +1 still on the map, and 2 Hydras already in production right now.
Okay, Oracle is going to try and make its way back into the main base. There's still the Spore Call there, and oh my god, some very, very derpy lings in the main base as well. But, well, Stasis Trap coming down, gets shut down by the lings. And they go back to, I don't know, doing some drugs in their parents' basement.
ToD just built a second Twilight Counselor, forgetting that he already got one as he went for the Glaives, with the Adept with Glaives. Trying to shade in, but seeing that there's too many units, so deciding to cancel. Drone counts relatively equal, and the fort base for YoGo is very, very delayed. And normally that wouldn't be that big of a deal, but on this map with the gold, it's so important to get that gold base quickly. It's so powerful here.
Well, Stasis Trap gets planted down. There's going to be a single Ling sacrifice to clean that up, and it looks like ToD knows that he's not going to have too easy of a time moving in with the Adepts, trying to shut down that base. So he just goes ahead and backs up. He has double Immortal production going on back at home. He has a Templar Archives getting started up. He is getting into that very traditional Protoss army that we see pretty much in every PvZ these games if your name isn't Rotterdam.
Right, and once again we see this very peculiar low drone count by YoGo, 55 drones, and he doesn't seem to be wanting to produce any more drones. No centrifugal hooks either, which is really what makes these pushes so strong. Here we go, YoGo deciding to start engaging. Overcharge being popped right here. Couple of Immortals flanking these Hydras. It's rare that we see an Immortal flank, but it's all happening here. I don't think YoGo can break this, to be honest. There's too little Banelings. ToD's eco is too good, and I think his setup is too good as well. It's pretty decent Sim City. Good amount of pylons there. Cannon coming down as well now. And here we go. Another overcharge being popped. Kills 2 Hydras. Targets down a 3rd Hydra. YoGo is just bleeding out units at this point and not really achieving anything with this. He keeps producing units and not drones. Not transferring towards his gold either. So this is basically all in at this point from YoGo.
Well, he has to get some damage done over here. He does have a couple of Banelings making their way into the natural expansion. Gonna be able to take out the pylon wall as well as these Zealots. Most of them end up falling. The Lings come flooding on in, and ToD tries to warp in to create a full wall, but is not quite so successful. Zealots do charge and take out some of the Lings in conjunction with the Photon Cannon, actually taking out a majority of them. One Zealot also in the main base gonna be able to buy a bit of time, and I suppose the Scout comes out, but was it really worth it for YoGo? So far, not quite, but killing off at least a few workers.
And here we go, YoGo getting into position to try and attack this natural base. ToD not really paying attention to his main army, trying to deal with the run-by. And his army basically consists of Immortals exclusively. Is Storm done yet? Yes, it is, and here they come.
Oh my god, the massive storms obliterate the Hydras, and suddenly a defense that didn't look like it was going to be able to happen. ToD makes it work.
Yeah, he did lose 14 probes somewhere, but it's still okay because he still is only down three 3 probes. YoGo still hasn't transferred to the gold. There is no centrifugal hooks. +2 is on the way for ToD. This is looking great for ToD. The only thing I do not understand is why he isn't taking his gas on his third base. Gas is so important in this matchup. Getting a couple extra Archons is definitely worth it to take those gases.
Oh, target firing down the High Templar. One of them ends up falling. A nice snipe for YoGo. I think even sniping off 1 or 2 High Templars is absolutely worth losing a few links for. And also, of course, keeping your opponent at home for a little bit longer. But, okay, well, gold expansion is up for YoGo. He's just not saturating it at all in the slightest. And Lurker Den is on the way. I suppose this is just going to be a big round 2 attack?
Yeah, I guess so, but I don't think YoGo is going to be the one thinking about attacking at this point, because his army is so small. I think ToD is going to be the aggressor here. There's only 7 banelings on the map, 14 more in production, as well as centrifugal hooks halfway done. But great baneling hits there for YoGo. But I still feel like this fight will go in favor of ToD if he gets any kind of decent position on the map. Might even get 1 or 2 good storms in. Centrifugal hooks not finished yet, so these banelings will die within 1 storm. ToD trying to move forward, trying to kill this third base, or this gold base, I mean. Yeah,
the Immortal's going to be able to really whittle away at it rather quickly. And we're starting to see that with all the storms gone, suddenly ToD is going to have a bit of trouble finishing off the Hadrian solo on Eldas. 15 hit points. The Immortal is going to be able to finish it off. Hydra's not able to defend, and YoGo loses the biggest semblance of his economy, that 4th expansion at the gold. But Lurkers are on the way now. Can he make some magic happen with them? He needs to, absolutely. The Immortal count is still alive, though, and that is going to be the primary defense against those Lurkers.
Yeah, there's still an Oracle on the map as well, so there is some sort of detection, as well as the Observer that ToD is now pulling back to his army. YoGo losing a lot of links for free. That's not what you want to do if you just lost your 4th base and your main source of income. This game is looking fantastic for ToD. He finally took the gases on his 3rd base as well. Currently only mining with 5 probes from in total, but he can fix that later on. Keeps reducing Immortals up to a count of 7. 7 Immortals against 8 Lurkers, a single Hydra and 4 Banelings and a couple of Links. This is not the army that YoGo wants to have. He wants to have a 180 supply army at this point in time, and it still would be a rough fight. 6 High Templars on the map here for ToD.
Yeah, he wants to have a 180 supply army, but if you look at the supply, you'll see it's only 120, now up to 130. He's starting to mass up a few more Hydras and getting some things out, but this is going to be a really weird situation. The Lurkers are going to be able to potentially cancel this 4th expansion of ToD, who's very far out of position, but you could argue the same thing to be said of YoGo, who's very far out of position to defend. It's a quasi-base trade for expansions.
Yeah, I think ToD is going to have to keep pushing, though. He can't really go back. Does get 2 Lurkers for free, which try to attempt some kind of a run-by. So he'll be able to clean that up. And now YoGo is returning back home, but he's going to need a magical engagement to be able to win this, I feel like. He's down 70 supply at this point. Stasis Ward going down. There still is an Observer with ToD's army. Good storms coming down on top of the Lurkers and the Banelings. Practically doing nothing here. And this is going to be lights out for YoGo in game number 1 as ToD marches to victory, taking down the natural base.
Okay. ToD does get the Observer here, like you were saying, and is not just going to be able to be eating all those Lurker shots. He makes his way up into the main base because he doesn't need to engage against the Lurkers. He can just use his army, take out the last remaining base. I mean, there's 1 base on the low ground with 3 drones. Okay, good luck with that. ToD taking game number 1.
Yeah, some very standard play coming out of both players, except that YoGo just doesn't seem to want to drone up whatsoever when he plays this Hydra Baneling style, where usually the standard is about 75, 76 drones. YoGo stays on 55 and tries to do some kind of push, but he's just lacking Banelings and he's lacking firepower.
Yeah, he needs to find some way to make those pushes more effective. And whether that be just kind of waiting around until he does actually have Baneling speed or can get up more Banelings, just something to try and hit maybe a little bit later, because I think he still usually has had a little bit more time before Storm finishes up, right? Whenever he's going to be going for these pushes in. I feel like he's always hitting a little bit earlier than he needs to.
Yeah.
But, okay. Well, we get ready to hop into Abyssal Reef for game number 2. So, ToD seems to like this map, as many Protoss players do. I think it was YoGo who picked the first map, so this is ToD's very first map choice, since there are no vetoes in a best of 7.
Yeah, and let's not forget about that first map. Odyssey traditionally is a massively Zerg favored map. We've seen it today. I think every game so far has been won by a Zerg on it, in the Pig series, in the YoGo series against Rotterdam. So for ToD to win that map is a massive slap in the face for YoGo.
Okay, well, we get ready to hop into this. I want to remind you guys again, before time runs out, if you want to hop over to the Match Arena page, grab yourself some of those t-shirts. When this tournament concludes, there will not be a whole lot of time left over for you guys to grab your last remaining kind of things and donate to the prize pool if you are interested in doing so. So be sure to check that out and grab whatever you want. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're hopping in to game number 2 as we start down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. Top of the red Protoss player sitting up 1-0. And also organizer for this tournament. Give it up for ToD. His opponent. Spawning up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Zerg player. Give it up for YoGo. Okay. Got the extractor. Has YoGo been going for the extractor trick all these games? It's a small difference, but...
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, he goes for it every single game, and I think it's not worth it.
That's one of those things I feel like in Heart of the Storm and Wings of Liberty, Cats once explained to me the reason why Zergs will go for the extractor trick is if they anticipate there's some kind of early pressure, there's like a really fast like 2-gate or something, or Marines or some kind of early 6 pool, then you have that extra drone a little bit earlier on when the attack comes in. But in Legacy of the Void, I actually just don't see the purpose of it.
No, it's terrible. It's completely useless. Like, actually, like, it doesn't do anything. Just makes you lose, what is it? 12.5 minerals. It's even less, isn't it? It's like
it's
7.5,
right? Because
yeah,
it's
but you also miss the time
25%.
where it's getting the resources. So
That's true.
yeah, massive failure there by YoGo. Once again, this in-base gateway, and on this map, it's actually terrible because you need like 10 buildings to wall your natural ramp.
Yeah, that's an interesting decision. I really wonder why ToD keeps going for these. I mean, he is at least walling in around his mineral line, so if he was up against some kind of 13, 12, or early pool, even just like a 12 pool gasless, he can create choke points and try and defend a little bit better, but he's making it harder on himself, it feels like.
Yeah, for sure. You have a couple of queens on the way for YoGo. Everything looking pretty standard, I would say, so far.
Yeah.
I wonder if YoGo's going to do the similar thing once again, where he gets the 4 queens before the 3rd hatchery. I don't think that really is the way to go. It just really cuts into his drone card. I think getting 1 extra queen is fine.
I think he's going to
2
grab the
queens-
hatchery now. Yeah, he's grabbing the
Yeah,
hatchery
this-
before the 3rd and 4th queen.
Yeah, I really prefer this. I really do prefer this. It really gives you more money to work with these drones, and then you can still get the 3rd and the 4th queen, but you don't really need them at the same time anyway. You can just make them 1 by 1. Like, there's no real need for them this fast. ToD actually getting a Twilight Council in his main base as well, so and his 2nd pylon was in the main as well, so this was going to be terrible. Any kind of Ling flood would just absolutely kill ToD. There is no way that he is defending a Ling flood.
Well, Harstem, ToD is redefining the walling off meta. There's no walls in ToD's world. It's a free country
no
where
walls,
everyone
only
can move
bridges. He's a bridge builder, not a wall builder.
through. Well, one worker is going to suffer the loss of its life thanks to these Lings moving on forward. And ToD is reconsidering his policy. There have been heated debates amongst his political party, and decided, you know what, maybe we do
couple of
want a wall.
fatalities.
A couple of yeah, it only takes one person to mess up, and suddenly policies get rewritten.
Yeah, you have one dumb probe who didn't mineral walk properly, and boom, all of a sudden, the wall policy has been overturned and makes Protoss country look like Trump's country.
Wow. Okay. Hold on. We're avoiding the political memes directly for a little bit. Oh well.
All right.
Well, YoGo gonna be able to get a full scout on exactly what ToD is up to. The Roach Warren did also just finish up, so YoGo can start pumping out some more of those roaches. I know you talked a lot about getting out those early roaches can be a bit weird sometimes. It can sort of put your economy into a bit of an awkward place, since most Sword players seem to really prefer defending on just the Lings and the Banelings.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, ToD actually not leaving anything in the
Ooh.
wall right now. Lynx, clutch warp in there by ToD. Will be able to stop those Zerglings from going in. Glaives is finishing up as well, and we have a couple of Adepts running towards the third base of YoGo. There's no units ready yet. There's one Roach about to pop out at that third base. YoGo decides to just evacuate, which probably was the wise decision here.
Yeah, really nicely played, and just keeping those workers alive, realizing, hey, if I lose a bit of mine time, that sucks, but losing workers, even worse. Adept's going to cancel their shade after seeing so many roaches over there, and just going to back up, but there is a double Stargate finished up for ToD behind this. YoGo, who's already invested into these roaches, kind of put himself behind like we were talking about. Ooh, okay. Well, now putting himself a little bit more behind as he loses a lot of these Lings. This is going to be difficult for YoGo to actually deal with. In fact, it's Void Rays being made, not
I
Phoenix
think
Oracle.
he built the Void Ray because he's scared. He saw a lot of roaches, like, this might actually be an all-in. Let me get a Void Ray, but that's ToD misreading the situation, because YoGo isn't actually all-inning. He's just very scared of ToD's Adept. So they're scaring each other into building more units that they don't really want to have. It's like the complete circle of dumbness, because now YoGo's going to see the Void Ray. It's like, oh my god, there's a Void Ray. Should get some spores. And
well, Harstem, that's what we call nuclear deterrence, but we are going to see Phoenix being made after all of this. So ToD is going to go back to adjusting his play, getting out what I think we were more expecting to see from those Stargates. I mean, I suppose there are some kind of weird things you can do if you just go into double Stargate and mass produce a bunch of Void Rays and go straight into carriers, go into that old school Golden Armada style, but seems like with all the gateways being added on, that's not likely to be the case for ToD.
yeah, for sure. We have a big roach count here for YoGo, who is on a very high amount of workers as well compared to ToD. ToD has really been slacking in the workers department. Take a look, he's down 20 workers at this point, and he's going to need to make something work with whatever this move out is that he's doing. 10 Adepts moving their way across the map, 3 Phoenixes and a Void Ray, as well as Charge on the way. So this is one of the weirder attack timings that I've seen in a long time, and I don't think it's going to work either. There's a couple of Banelings as well, so once these shades, once ToD lets those shades finish, the Baneling can just completely blow him up. I'm not too happy with ToD's position, and I don't think he's too happy with his position either. There is a Templar Archives on the way, but there's no Forge. Second Robo going down, and finally at 7 minutes and 30 seconds in the game comes the Forge, but that's a little late.
Yeah, definitely. Well, one Phoenix is going to fall to the Hydras and the Queen. The Void Ray is doing a surprising amount of damage to that hatchery. Oh, cancel the thing? Cancel Prismatic Alignment? Okay, well, he's going to make another alive anyways. But Adepts do shade their way into the natural, killing off a few workers now. And Shades are going to be off of cooldown in a second as they make their way to the main base. Ooh, YoGo is going to lose quite a few more workers over here. This has been pretty worthwhile for ToD.
Yeah, a couple of shaded into the third base as well. One more shade going into the natural. Don't think that will be too successful, as there is Hydras and Roaches to clean it up. 10 workers go down, but it just evens up the drone count. And YoGo is on top of rebuilding his drones this time around. ToD, however, seems to be really, really slow with rebuilding probes. And his saturation isn't great either. He's quite oversaturated in the main base, while his third base is kind of undersaturated. It's only on 60 probes at this point, and is already getting a fourth base. He is researching Stormwind +1, but the supplies are looking terrible for ToD, and this is looking to be a very scary push. And this really shouldn't be a scary push at this point in time. It's 8 minutes and 45 minutes, so 150 supply Roach Ravager Hydra push. Shouldn't be scary anymore, but ToD just doesn't have the units.
Yeah, he doesn't even have that many high-tech units. I mean, sure, he's got these high Templars that we were talking about before, but there's no Storm just yet. The Phoenixes, they're going to be able to lift up some of the Hydras, sure, but eventually they run out of energy, and they're no longer useful. Zealots with Charge are going to be effective, and Double Filtration Overcharge has already popped. There's only going to be one more available until a little bit more energy is regenerated. And then we end up seeing that
and
first
he puts it on one of the lower health pylons. This pylon is going to fall almost immediately. Cancel on the forward base. Correct decision here by ToD. Voidray did manage to take down the drop that was heading towards his natural. Storm is finishing in 3 seconds, which might be his saving grace. There's almost no banelings once again in YoGo's army. Here we go. Storm finishing up. +1 about to finish. Immortal pops as well.
Ooh.
And these storms need to be perfect. And they're very good, but I'm not sure if they're perfect. Seems like ToD will be able to clean this up with the help of the Phoenixes lifting up all of those Hydras. And if he can chase this army away, that might actually be great for him.
Yeah, gonna be able to snag a lot of the Ravagers as well. And these Immortals, I mean, it's actually really important that some of the Immortals did manage to survive and help push that back. So he still has a lot of those power units. Didn't actually end up losing any of them. So relatively good control over there. And the Storms, like you were saying, really the saving grace there. But ooh, what is this? YoGo going for the Spire. And this could really catch ToD off guard because, well, no, he has 6 Phoenix still. He didn't lose any of the Phoenix during that fight.
Good attempt, Fear Dragon, on making a call, but that's not what's happening here.
I tried.
Tried so hard, got so far. In the end, got shut down by Harstem.
You know,
and here we go, 11 drones going down. These 5 Phoenixes are really putting in a good amount of work. This Spire might actually be for Brood Lords, which would be the correct call. So he did throw down an infestation pit during the push.
Okay, well, we got +2 weapons coming up for ToD. He's got a pretty scary looking army. Is he going to go and make the push out? If he realizes that Hive is on the way with Infestors and, of course, the Spire, then he'll know he has to do something before the Brood Lords start popping. But it seems like for now he's just going to try and establish that 4th expansion.
Yeah, he definitely is trying that. I think he'll be able to. He has like you mentioned, a good amount of storms. There is 2 Infestors on the way, so YoGo is again going for this this pick and mix kind of unit composition with a little bit of everything. Some slow Balings, 2-3 Ravagers, maybe throwing a couple of Roaches in there as well, and then adding these 2-3 Infestors. I don't really see this army as being powerful, but you know what Sun Tzu once said, act strong when you are weak and act weak when you are strong. And he's very weak at this moment, but he's acting strong, probably waiting for the Brood Lords here.
You just quoted Art of War. That's amazing. What a true strategy player. But okay, we got a Zealot run by on the left-hand side of the map. Gonna look to try and do some damage. But even just pulling YoGo back is gonna make ToD feel a little bit more secure, but ToD is finally moving out across the map. This is actually a bit of a danger zone right now for YoGo, like you were saying. He doesn't have all that much. The Phoenix pick up the Infestors. Some Fungal Growths locking down most of these Phoenix, and the Hydra's able to clean up the rest of them. But now there's no energy left on these Infestors. The Greater Spire is still finishing up. And Harstem, this could actually just be a big death push.
Yeah, this is a massively powerful push, and the Greater Spire is just not finished yet. And after that, these Corruptors are still going to need to transform into Brood Lords, and that takes another 24 seconds. And this is time that YoGo can't really afford. Has to pull all the drones away from the forward base, needs to win time somehow. Couple of more Banelings morphing in. First Brood Lord starting as well, but ToD is just going to push and say hello to these Brood Lords. He can walk under them with Archon, Storm on top of them. There's only 2 as well, so I don't think it's going to be enough. Good storms raining down from the sky, everything being absolutely crushed.
The drones being pulled off the line, suddenly just reconsidering their life choices as they pull back. ToD taking game number 2, going up in the series 2-0 versus YoGo.
Yeah, looking very dominant while at it as well. This game didn't start well for him at all. He was massively down in army supply, and then all of a sudden YoGo did this push with the Ravagers, a couple of Hydras, and 7 slow Banelings, which completely failed and kind of put ToD back into the game. It's this weird low drone style that YoGo keeps trying to make work, but against a player like ToD, who's just like, all right, I'm not going to defend my forward base here, have it. Just attack me in my third, and YoGo keeps falling for the same trick.
Absolutely. And now we're sitting in a situation where being down 2-0 in a best of 5, yeah, you still got one game of leeway, but you're getting awfully close to the edge of the cliff. And if you get down to that last final remaining step before you lose the series 4-0, it's never a comfortable position. And you know what, Harstem? You made some predictions not only about ToD taking this series, but you also said something yesterday about how the players that have earned the most, as we can see from our EsportsEarnings page showing how much everybody has earned, players that have earned the most money are oftentimes the better players. And right now, your prediction of ToD having earned the most is doing pretty well.
Yeah, it definitely is. And of course, a big milestone for ToD as well, breaking 180K in esports earnings over the years in tournament winnings. That's an impressive number, which I, of course, have a lot of respect for.
Yeah.
And he's going to add a little more to that number, most likely, as he's already up 2-0. The next map, however, it's going to be a harder one, isn't it?
Defender's Landing, the most ironically named map in the map pool right now, because it's not so great for defenders, is it, Harstem?
No, it's... I'm not sure why it's called Defender's Landing. That's a good point you make there. It's,
I mean, maybe it's because the defenders are oftentimes landing on their ass when they just lose.
Yeah.
Getting knocked down.
Knocked down, getting destroyed, and they have to get back up, but they can't. No such chance here on Defender's Landing. And if ToD starts walling, like if he starts building a pylon in his main base as his first pylon, the game is basically over here, Ravi. Because you need every single building possible to wall on this map. Look, take a look at these entrances. It's just insane. You need like 12 buildings to wall everything, and even then they can just drop links in your main. You realize you don't have any units. Your life is falling apart. Oh my god, he builds the pylon in the main base. Introduce these players for me.
Spotting up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, the man who's up 2-0 but has zero confidence from Harstem in being able to take this game. Give it up for ToD. And his opponents spawning down in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. We have the blue Zerg player looking for a comeback, desperately needs to win this game, if nothing else. Give it up for YoGo.
Yeah, if YoGo doesn't win on Defender's Landing, it's going to be such a rough series for him, Ravi. This is the one map, the one map that if you don't win it as a Zerg and you do win it as a Protoss, you're feeling like $1 million. You're feeling like the man. Like, I'm pretty sure that if ToD wins Defender's Landing, he's going out tonight because he's been getting lucky all day. Then, like, might as well push his luck through the night, play some poker at the casino, go to the club. He's going to have a great time, but this map is very, very difficult.
It really is going to be. It's a breaking point potentially for YoGo in more than one way. Like you said, Defender's Landing, the map that you just expect Zerg players to win on, if especially a Protoss player is not actually walling off their natural expansion. It's potentially where YoGo will go down 0-3, which is such a difficult place to come back from in a best of 7. I mean, you have to win 4 games in a row against an opponent that was good enough to 3-0 you. Probe, scouting worker, also does get picked off, so if YoGo decides to go for a couple of early lings, ToD's probe isn't exactly going to be alive to easily scout around and see the lack of third.
Yeah, let's have a look what YoGo decides to do. Only 4 links on the way, so pretty standard. And he does see the lack of wall now. Immediately starts building 2 extra links. 8 links. Yes, here we go, YoGo. This is the way you want to be playing on Defender's Landing. Just ling all in till the guy dies. And this really is the way to do it, Ravi. There is no wall in front. This is not viable. This is not a viable defense, ToD.
Well, Harstem, if ToD defends this, then I think we can successfully declare him to just be the champion of this. I mean, if he defends this, he's going to be up 3-0, but I almost feel like it's that breaking point that we're talking about. He's just a god at that point. He deserved to win.
He really will deserve to win. Oh my god, YoGo, why are you building drones?
YoGo.
No.
YoGo, why aren't you moving in with your lings?
Oh my god. And I think ToD just realized what a terrible situation he's in. He's not even getting any tech, just throwing down 2 more gateways, like adding a couple more pylons, 33 supply out of 54 at this point. And here come the links. Speed is about to finish in a couple of seconds. And just in time, ToD gets the full wall together with the Twilight Council. In combination with the Nexus, will lose the Stalker. And his stack will be extremely delayed, but he's still alive. And that's something I hadn't expected once I saw those 8 links being built. Sadly, there was no real follow-up there for YoGo, which really strikes me as odd.
Is there anything preventing YoGo from just moving back in after Fletch and Overcharge expires? And well, actually, yeah, I guess that is a complete wall off in the mineral line, isn't it? The Adept actually creates a complete wall. Wow, that is some impressive walling.
It's not very good though. Like, there's so many weak spots in this wall.
Yeah, but I mean, what I mean is, given the situation he was in, that is some impressive walling. Because
given the situation he put himself in, let's not forget who was responsible for his own walls here.
Look, Harstem, I'm trying to compliment the man.
Yeah, that's true. He did do well. Like, he did. It was a nice wall. A nicely improvised wall, I must admit. Here we go. Stalker pushing out that Overlord, but Ravi, YoGo already saw what's happening. He saw the resonating glaives, which aren't being chrono boosted, by the way. So those 5 adepts making their way across the map, it's just a fake. These guys are not real. They're not gonna shade in. They can't. They don't have adept speed.
Well, he could still focus fire down some units. Well, no, not with 20 lings on the way and 18 already out. So he is gonna shade forward, but he's actually walking forward too. Okay, I was gonna say walk backwards, shade forward, but these adepts, I think they may get caught. At least 1 or 2 of them will probably end up falling here, if not all of them.
Yeah, I think all of them might actually fall here. Here we go. No resonating glaives for ToD. He is getting an immortal right now and adding a couple of gateways. Oh, I know this build, Ravi. I know this build. If you take a look at EsportsEarnings, you can see that half of my money was made with immortal already. So there's no stat for that yet, but I'll tell them to add it. Here we go. A little bit of a ling run by. Takes down 1 sentry, forces 2 more force fields, actually 3 more force fields as well. So YoGo in a leading position, making 10 drones. And this might be the only game where he doesn't want to be going up to 70 drones.
Well,
because it is going to be an immortal charge all in, which is very odd, but might be able to work if there is no banelings.
Huh. Well, okay, his sentries did use up quite a bit of energy on the force fields and everything. I'd love to see him knock down the cooling tower, cut down on the number of pathways that these lings can run in from, especially since YoGo has shown he loves these ling run-bys in this series. But, well, like you said, charge is about halfway done, and he still needs to come out with his big gateway flood to really make this work. But, oh, Harstem, I think he's going to take a 3rd.
Yeah, he might actually, which surprises me, but YoGo has been building a lot of units, so the drone counts are surprisingly even. YoGo might actually, once he sees the 3rd, be triggered in attacking, because he has been building so many units, and it might actually be a powerful attack. But no, here we go. ToD is going for the move out. Just try to fake out YoGo a little bit, but YoGo didn't get tricked like I did. YoGo is a lot smarter than I am. I would have just pressed the SD button there, go straight up to 70 drones and die to the incoming push, even though it was rather obvious. 2 immortals here on the way, and a prism flying over as well. 1 more warp in being done at home. And this is looking, this is shaping up to be a pretty scary push, as there's only 3 banelings here for YoGo.
Yeah, there are a couple of Ravagers, though, that can at least knock down some of the force fields and maybe push this army back a bit. The Warp Prism getting very far forward as well. Got to be careful about where it positions itself, since those Ravager shots could easily knock it out of the sky. The Queen's also getting involved. Target fire down that Warp Prism, but here we go. Ling's actually getting in on top of some of the sentries, but Zealots come charging on forward, and this is looking really, really good for ToD right now, Harstem, on Defender's Landing of all maps, but YoGo's trying to push forward with some more units. Where's the reinforcing warp in for ToD?
Oh no, ToD getting destroyed by the banelings and roaches. Picks up his final 2 immortals, but what is the backup plan here for ToD, Ravi? I don't think there is one. He's trying to make something work with this prism, but what can he really make work? There's a couple of queens on the map which can gun it down. Here goes ToD trying to shoot 1 of them down. 2 more queens already on the way. He is clearing some creep, which is nice, I guess. And he's getting a 3rd base, but 3rd base getting cancelled immediately. Yeah.
Oh god, and the sentry's also gonna get surrounded and killed off. Force field's being used. He saves 1 sentry to his credit, and the War Prism Immortals did clean up some of the creep. They're gonna be able to continue to harass for a little bit longer, but Hydra Den is about to finish up. ToD in a world of trouble, like you mentioned before.
Yeah, definitely not the position he wants to be in right now.
One behind
oh my
Dark
God.
Shrine.
Yeah, it is one of these StarCraft proverbs which has been true for the past 7 years now, Ravi. When behind Dark Shrine, indeed, and oh my God, it might actually work. Take a look at the detection that YoGo has available to him right now. He could build an Overseer, he could build Spores, of course he can, but he isn't. He doesn't have anything ready, and he's probably planning on attacking as well. Here we go, moving across the map. I think he will be able to cancel this 3rd base. Oh, actually, that's a big army that ToD has here. And there is a couple of overcharges that he could pop as well. So let's see some of those overcharges. So decent force fields. Actually, those aren't that great. Didn't actually catch any of the units. Might delay YoGo pushing forward for a bit, though. Oh, I don't like this push in here by YoGo. How about we use the overcharges? So yes, there we go. Overcharge is being used. Prism comes back as well, going to help with the micro. There's one more pylon that could be overcharged. ToD immediately overcharges it as I say it, and these Immortals are really holding their ground.
Oh, don't get too far forward though. He can only pick up 2 of the Immortals, and there are a lot of Lings over here. If he gets a full surround, he might be able to go. No, he's not going to try and pounce on that, but the Dark Shrine is finished up. Where are the Warp-ins? It looks like he used all of his Warp Gate cooldowns to just try and warp in Zealots as fast as possible. Would love to see him be able to put some pressure on, but...
Okay. Here we go. Prism with the Dark Templar on just above the main base of YoGo. 2 Dark Templar are going by foot. 1 goes by the air carrier, also known as the Prism. And this is going to be a rough defense for YoGo, I'm not gonna lie. What does he really have in position? Nothing. 1 DT going into the 3rd base, 1 DT going into the 4th base. Overseer immediately starting once he sees the first drone being sliced. But there's so many drones going down already, and YoGo didn't respond quickly enough on his 4th base and his 3rd base. 9 drones down. There is a link drop in the main base of ToD, and YoGo is still in a great position, but these DTs are really annoying to him.
Not only just taking out the drones, but even taking out some of these Hydras, going to cut down on the potential counter-attack potential for YoGo. And the entire army's here, but there's no Overseer. Okay, the Overseer is lagging so far behind. ToD is actually getting away with a lot of these DTs.
Yeah, and ToD doesn't seem to be probing up at all. Like, well,
he's still down in workers. Oh my God,
yeah,
so
but
many
I
of his
think
workers is
it's on
third.
purpose.
They're on follow instead of actually mining.
Oh, that's very painful because he really he figures it out just as you mentioned it. So you and ToD are about as quick in the head there, Ravi. And that's a compliment.
That is a compliment for me.
I think that's a compliment for everyone, man. I wish I was as quick in the head as ToD. This guy's got it all together. He's up 2-0 in the finals of the EsportsEarnings Casters Invitational, and he's gearing up for a massive push right now. If we take a look at the army supply, it's 77 against 75, but ToD's army looks a lot more scary. There's almost no Banelings. Actually, there are no Banelings in this army of YoGo once again. The one thing that he does have going for him are the upgrades. He has 1-1-1, +1 armor, +1 attack melee, and +1 attack range. He should build a couple of Banelings, but I'm not sure if these are going to be in time for the big fight that ToD wants to force. If ToD decides to jump on it right now, YoGo could be in a lot of trouble with ToD deciding to go back home.
Oh, interesting. Well, he does still have a lot of force field energy available. He is going to be able to make another Archon. I mean, the Archons are going to be helpful for him, but YoGo just going after those rocks might just look for an alternative way to bust on in. ToD should have vision of the rocks being knocked down. He's repositioning his army, and that is one of the nice things about Defender's Landing is that you can actually reposition your... Oh, wait, no, ToD, where are you going? ToD! Okay, he's moving back into position. He should be okay. Gave me a scare,
I was just
though.
sending off a couple of Zealots to start a run by. YoGo sees it and it's like, all right, I see those Zealots. I can just take them down. ToD splits off 2 as sacrifices, and the rest returns back home. 1 more gets picked off, but I feel like ToD really doesn't have any potential in this game. The only way he can win is if YoGo takes a horrible fight on ToD's side of the map, and ToD has a massive counter-attack. And here we go. This might just be what is happening. There's so many Immortals and Archons here, and and YoGo is engaging into overcharges in ToD's natural base. This might actually be enough here for ToD. If he can catch more of these units with force field, he catches a couple of more Hydras. But ToD is moving back with half his army. No, ToD, where are you going?
Oh,
you don't need to defend that natural. Oh.
And he loses half of the other half of the army that he leaves left to die, and some of these immortals gonna end up falling. He still has a decent chunk of the immortals left over, but he's lost a lot of the base of his army. He's lost the Archons, he's lost a lot of the sentries, and even lost a ton of these zealots, which sacrificed their lives. But now ToD, he has to make a push out across the map. I just don't know if he has enough time to do it before YoGo replenishes all the supply he just lost.
Yeah, it's going to be rough for sure. ToD's income has been very poor for the past few minutes. To be fair, YoGo hasn't been on that great of an eco either, but he is getting a 5th base right now, and ToD's bases are all mining out. Main is practically mined out, so is the natural, and here we go. The final engagement of this game. YoGo pushing forward with these 1-1 Hydras, and ToD can't really defend this anymore at this point. Immortals are good, but with 0-0, they just don't hit quite as hard. GG gets called, and YoGo takes his first game of the series, putting the score on 2-1.
Okay, YoGo showing promise for a comeback. He does not lose Defender's Landing and is not mentally crushed in 3 different ways. We'll see if he can make it happen as we get ready to hop into our next game. Game number 4, which will be played out on Sequencer. Okay, so out of the fire and into the frying pan, as they always say.
Out of the what?
You've never heard that saying? Out of the fryer and into the frying pan?
No. Well, what does it mean?
Oh, sorry, out of the frying pan and into the fire? Hold on, maybe I'm messing this up. It's basically the idea is that you get out of one hot spot and you get into another. From one difficult situation to another.
That does make sense.
Based on chat's reaction, I feel like I'm probably saying it wrong. Well, either way, Sequencer can be a bit of an interesting map in terms of Zergs being able to take advantage of. Well, I guess you were saying that you feel like the map pool can, when it's bigger maps, it can actually be a little bit more favorable for Protoss, depending on the kind of builds you're going for these days.
Yeah, like I feel like this map is pretty decent for Protoss. I think any map with a long rush distance is going to be good for Protoss these days, as we really do have a very powerful late game air composition. However, Sequencer, there are some nice tricks which Zerg can use, like killing the rocks. It's a very difficult position to defend in for the Protoss player.
Okay, well, we're just waiting to get YoGo into the lobby before we get started. But I want to remind you guys again, I'm going to keep saying this, we do have all of those final remaining chances at getting your t-shirts on the Matcherino page. If you guys are interested, taking a look at where the Matcherino page is, let's actually refresh the page and get an updated count on exactly how much or how large the prize pool is. $5,381. That's pretty sick, Harstem. That's pretty awesome.
That is pretty awesome indeed. Seems like YoGo has managed to find the lobby this time around as well. So impressive feat. Might start the game anytime now.
Well, YoGo saying there's some storm power outages. No, those are in fact just those storms from game number 3 that ToD dismantled the Hydra army with. Still doing damage.
Still
to this day, some say.
Some say the storms are still happening on Abyssal Reef.
Yeah. Okay, well, looks like he's ready. We're getting started. Sequencer for game number 4. Can YoGo start a comeback after building a little bit of momentum, or I should say, not even so much building the momentum, just halting the momentum of ToD on that Defender's Landing game?
Yeah, I think that game was more frustrating for YoGo than it was for ToD, though. ToD kind of used a throwaway build. It was a dedicated all-in. It didn't work. And then the game lasted for 5 more minutes. If anything, that should give ToD the confidence that if it's just a regular game where nothing weird happens, he should just be able to take the game, because he really was in a poor position all game. Oh my god, look at ToD's base. 2 probes just AFKing.
Oh, Hold that
There's
thought.
still one AFKing actually. Here we go.
Okay,
Figures out, but that's actually quite big. It's very expensive to have probes not working at the start of the game.
Well, we will take a look at the income graphs and see that in a moment as we start up here in the top right-hand corner of the map. The yellow Zerg player, give it up for YoGo. Finally able to take a game in this grand finals against his opponent. Spun down here in the bottom left. It's the blue Protoss player. Give it up for ToD. And in that income graph, we see, ooh, look at that nice little spike for YoGo. All those AFK workers. And you look back at the -5 minute and -10 minute mark, they were sitting dead even. 5 minutes ago, they were sitting dead even, Harstem. That's actually not how it works.
Dead even.
Dead even.
Alright. Let's have a look at this.
So,
oh my god, ToD is walling in the mid.
I was about to ask about that.
Yeah, he's getting some spicy messages after this game, believe me.
So, I feel as though Sequencer is one of the maps that, it's not super common, but I have seen a decent number of kind of Ling all-ins or just Overlord drops, all kinds of weird shenanigans happening on this map.
Yeah,
it's
Overlord
not,
drops.
Yeah. Overlord drops for sure. But even the wall.
The thing on this map, I think this might be one of the only maps where it's okay to wall in your main because it's so easy to wall off the front. Like you need like 2.5 building basically. So if you put the pylon in the wall, you know, we'll count it as correct. But in general, this is not really the way you want to be walling. You really want to be walling in the front. Makes it a lot easier. Also makes it easier to hide the tag. If you just start your first pylon in the front, your second pylon in the back can be anywhere you want it to be. You can just, you know, build your Stargate or your Twilight Council or your robotics facility next to it. That's really what you want, of course. ToD getting a cheeky little scout, sees the gas, sees that there's still 3 guys in gas as well after speed started, which could confuse him a little bit. Yeah, goes back and sees they're still getting the gas. So could either be Overlord speed or the burrow build that we saw YoGo do twice against Rotterdam.
Yeah, again, we haven't really seen too many really cheeky things coming out of YoGo. I mean, the most cheeky thing he did was seeing that ToD wasn't really walling off on Defender's Landing and then opting to go for 8 early Lings, which I don't even think he actually managed to do too much with. So would love to see YoGo maybe mix it up. I actually feel as though there are a lot of these opportunities for YoGo to get some early damage done versus ToD.
Yeah, for sure. ToD doing a build that we really don't see that often. He's getting the mothership core before any kind of tech. Maybe afraid of some kind of Baneling bust, as he did see a lot of gas being mined, but he would be wrong because it is the Overlord speed. Getting 3 gateways right now. This is a very peculiar little build that ToD is doing right here.
Okay, well, are we going to see a Twilight Council plopping down for ToD? See Resonating Glaives or something coming out? Well, I was expecting to see it by the time I finished that sentence, but it's just not happening, Harstem.
Yeah, he's floating a lot of gas as well, so maybe sentries? No, he's getting a Stalker right now, and he sees Overlord speed finishing.
Is he waiting for the Overlords to come in, scout, and then throw down something?
Ah, no, here we go. Twilight Council. That's so late, though.
Okay, well, it gets scouted out by YoGo with the Overlords, who may also be kind of scratching his head since it is fairly late, but there's also a Evolution Chamber finishing up. Could use this just for the +1 melee, but again, great map for those Overlord drops. And Spore Crawler's going down because YoGo is also just thinking, did you get a Stargate first? What's happening here?
Yeah, I think YoGo is very confused at this point. Might be thinking of some kind of proxy Stargate. He is getting the spores. ToD, however, is getting a 3rd base inside of his the inside base. So it's going to be very easy to defend. There is an Overlord morphing into a Dropper Lord.
Which
gets spotted immediately by ToD. Yeah.
Not actually reacting with any other... Okay, no, he is pulling the Stalker and the Adept, so... Oh, this is... Maybe he shouldn't have pulled the Stalker and the Adept, because now there's nothing in the main base.
Yeah. Nice try there, ToD, but main base is still empty. It's only 4 links, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. Just a quick pro pool. Should be able to deal with this, and here we go. Gets the 1 link. Of course, it's annoying to lose mining time like that, but not that big of a deal. We still don't see any...
Harstem, he didn't put probes back in gas. He's not mining gas from his... He's now starting to mine gas from the natural, but he is missing... Okay. Starting to put some workers back. Now he's finally mining.
he's just now starting resonating glaive, so I'm very confused as to what this build is trying to achieve here. We do see a prism on the way. I can understand that, but the glaives are so late. There's going to be hydras out already before the resonating glaives are going to be done. And it is a good upgrade to have, but I think charge is going to be better in this kind of situation, as charge slots are just a bit more powerful than adepts are in general.
Huh. He pulls all of his workers away, maybe because he saw the Overlord and he thought there was banelings inside?
Yeah, that would be a logical explanation, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of makes sense. Just playing it safe. Can't blame him for that. Can't blame a guy for trying to be safe.
Alright, Warp Prism makes its way across the map to try and do some form of counter damage. YoGo does have a decent swell of wings coming out, as well as some banelings finishing up. So unless ToD gets into a really nice spot, this should be dealt with. Not too much damage being taken. The queens are also there and ready to start whittling away at the Warp Prism.
Yeah, and I guess the Resonating Glaives does finish around the time that the Prism arrives at YoGo's base, but I still don't feel like this can do too much. ToD on a decent probe count, not really where you want to be as a Protoss player. These Shades are going to finish, and these Adepts are going to do absolutely nothing, not even attacking anything at this point, just trying to bug out with these Zerglings having a little dance-off. These 3 Adepts are killing 3-4 drones, but losing 7 Adepts for 4 drones, that's not a trade you want to make there, Robbie.
Honestly, Harstem, I know that we were talking about how the game must have been even somewhat frustrating for YoGo in that last game, but ToD is the one that just seems to be playing. I feel like he's making a lot of weird mistakes that we haven't been seeing throughout the rest of the series.
Yeah, it's to be fair, his early game in any of the games hasn't been particularly good. It's just that the build that he did this time around just seemed like a bit of an overreaction to seeing a lot of gas being mined, which I don't think seeing another 100 gas being mined really justifies this kind of reaction, which ToD did. So I still have confidence in him to be able to win this game, but for the first time we actually do see YoGo going up to the 75 drones very quickly.
Ooh.
It's getting the hive at the 8-minute mark already. So it might actually. Sorry?
He's hitting right before Storm? No, he has to wait for the banelings to morph in.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to kill ToD with this, but his eco is just scary and his transition is very fast, so he doesn't really need to trade very effectively in any way. He just needs to trade some way and survive until his Brute Lords are out, because ToD's economy isn't great at all, and ToD is trying to force some kind of favorable engagement. Oh, look at the left side of the map. What's happening there? There's 3 Dropper Lords coming in.
Oh, okay. He's got 3 Overseers with his army this time. Learned his lesson from Rotterdam. Oh. Okay, well, the Drop Overlords could get some good damage done, especially if he pulls the entire army this far out into the map. Couple of changes. Okay, well, Baneling's dismantling any of the remaining Zealots over there. Drop Overlords still biding their time before moving in. The Mothership Core is there at that 3rd expansion and could drop down quite a few foot and overcharges at all these pylons, but
yeah, the real issue is the Banelings inside. ToD needs to respond very fast. Oh my god, a big Prism Warp in the main base of YoGo. And what is there in the main base for YoGo? Same time, a few Zealots making their way over into the 3rd base. Oh, this is a massive engagement, and at the same time, drops happening in the main base of ToD as well. So big trades coming in from both players at this point. Man, this 32 probes being lost by ToD and 25 drones being lost by YoGo, and the count keeps rising. Look at YoGo's natural. A couple of Zealots going absolutely ham in there.
A couple of Zealots do manage to get the Spine Tool down to about half health, but he also scouts out the Spire as well as Hive Tech. Seems like YoGo has mostly been cleaned up. All the Drop Overlords have been pushed back for the most part, and there's not a whole lot of mining going on for either of these players, but YoGo does re-drone very, very quickly. That's one of the advantages of being a Zerg player, is that you can make those drones insanely fast, back up to 53, whereas ToD can have a harder time replenishing that.
Yeah, you know what drones are really bad at though, Ravi? They're bad at fighting, and I think that's what's going to happen relatively soon. What does YoGo have as an army? He has 21 Hydralisk, and he has 6 Banelings. He's going to need a lot more Banelings to be able to survive the push, if ToD decides to push. Seems like for now, ToD is just happy sitting back, but he really shouldn't be. He's only 38 workers. He doesn't have any transition inside. He's on the
Hmm.
clock.
Okay, well, there are no sentries available, so force fields are not going to be an option. He has a decent number of storms available, but YoGo gonna look for an engagement, potentially catching ToD a bit by surprise. He does have Baneling speed finished up, as of course having Hive. It'd be a little bit surprising if he didn't have Baneling speed by this point, but Greater Spire is also coming up as well. 16 Banelings going to be finishing up. ToD maybe needs to
Oh,
warp in some more units. Oh, it loses all the Zealots immediately.
yeah, ToD is killing the Greater Spire though, so those Corruptors are going to be
Oh,
absolutely useless. Big drop going down in the third base of ToD as well, but ToD is leading in supply and he's down in probes, which can only mean that his army is bigger. There's 3 Corruptors on the map as well, 5 more Hydras being produced, but is it going to be enough? Couple of storms still here. 2 more storms, 1 more storm here for ToD, I believe, and then he can morph these guys into Archons. His army is a lot bigger. I don't think he realizes quite yet. Now he moves forward, starts taking out this base. Meantime, the main base of YoGo getting absolutely ravaged by all of these Zealots. Hydra then about to fall. 1 Extractor very close to falling. 33 drones going down as well, and ToD might be taking this game.
ToD has already killed off the low ground third expansion. The main base has finally been cleaned up, but guess what? YoGo can't even produce Lings right now because he lost his spawning pool. And now with only Hydras out, he's making 9 Hydras, but these Archons are ripping them to shreds. Baneliness even getting a little bit low on health thanks to the Immortals. And I agree. I think that ToD may be on the verge of going up 3-1 in this best of 7 grand finals. GG gets called.
Yeah, Le ToD with the 3-1 advantage right now. 1 map away from taking the tournament that he created. That's
Some
so
may
weird.
call it bias, Harstem, but I think we just call it skill.
Yeah, it's skill, man. Smart. You invite all these guys just to beat them up and take your money back. It's like he put his child as a prize and then won his own child back. That's mental. Like he made it, then he put it as a prize, and then he took it back. Like this guy is crazy. Just crazy good.
It's that confidence, Harstem. It's that confidence that he has in himself. And, realistically, if you look at it, if he wins this next game, he will only have dropped 2 maps this entire tournament. 1 map to In Control and 1 map to YoGo in the grand finals, which I would say is not too shabby.
Yeah, it's definitely not too shabby.
Okay, well, next
And
map is going to be Proxima Station, which infamous map with a long regarded history in this matchup.
yeah, this is going to be one of the better ToS maps for sure. I think this might actually be the best Protoss map in the map pool. So this could very well be the final map of this series. Of course, I don't want to discount YoGo, but this is a very rough map to win. The only advantage that Zerg does have is that there is a gold base as a 4th or 5th base, which could really boost whatever push you are doing.
Yeah, should be pretty interesting. Of course, this map used to be known for the kind of air toss style, the map to go for that. You'd cannon up your 3rd expansion and just go straight into it. But it really did fall off, and we kind of see a little bit of it coming back, I would say, occasionally in the meta. But how do you feel about that? Just like the Golden Armada style? Because I know we've seen Rotterdam sort of move toward it. I don't think we've ever seen ToD actually move toward it.
It's not as good anymore, really. I feel like Zergs have pretty much figured it out. It's good if you can transition into it from ground toss, but just going straight carrier, the Zerg can be so incredibly greedy, and you have a lot of things that you can die to yourself. So it's risky to get there, and even if you get there, it's not that powerful. Something like Ultra Infestor with Nurgle and a couple of Hydras and Queens can really take you down, and you can be completely pushed to death with Spores as well. So it's a rough one, but maybe we'll see something like that from ToD. He doesn't strike me as that kind of player, though. He is more of a multitasking player who wants to use Prism, who wants to use run buys. We saw last game to great effect. And yeah, I hope we'll see an exciting game again, because last game definitely wasn't lacking in the excitement.
Absolutely. Well, here we go. Hopping on to Proxima Station. This could be the final game, potentially, ladies and gentlemen, as we hop into it and introduce the players. Here we have spawning up in the top right-hand corner of the map, It's the blue Zerg player on his final leg. Give it up for YoGo. And his opponent, spawning down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. He's finally building a pylon over by the ramp. Give it up for ToD. Imagine,
man, I love that.
imagine a world where this is the game that YoGo goes for a massive Ling flood, and ToD actually has the wall at the front.
That would make me so happy.
How upset would you be if you were YoGo in that situation?
A solid 6 out of 7.
Out of 7.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say out of 5.
No, that's not possible. That would be more than the skill allows to. Fear Dragon. Maybe you should go back to school.
That's just how upset you would be.
That's just how upset it could defy mathematics.
Absolutely, man. Rage
That's
knows no
power.
bounds. But
It really does know no bounds at all. Here we go.
We do have a pretty normal looking build coming out from YoGo. It is going to be a hatch gas pool, so no rage incoming for YoGo, but hopefully he's not feeling too much of the pressure sitting down 1-3.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried. Oh my god, what is ToD doing? Oh, what is missing here, Fear Dragon? Oh no, ToD.
A Cybernetics core?
Yeah.
Um,
It's a little late. Yeah, I think he realized
gas
he can.
geyser first.
Yeah, he got a guy and a pylon first, so it's delayed by 170 minerals. Oh my god, that's terrible. Oof, that's really bad for ToD. That's a mistake that feels very painful when you make it. Immediately getting a zealot as well, because that won't be in time if YoGo decides to just run over with those links. The funny thing is that YoGo might think that it's the Nexus first now because the Cyber Core is so late, and he can't see the Nexus timing because of the map layout. Oh, this is very bad for ToD. The tech timing is going to be very delayed. Normally, you want to be throwing down the tech about a second or 10 ago. Yeah, it's the earliest you can build a Stargate is at 210. If you skip Warp Gate and skip Adapt. If you only skip Warp Gate, you can get it down at like 214, 215. This Stargate came down at, what is it? 238 or something. So that's about a solid 20 seconds late.
Yeah, he's going to delay the third expansion of YoGo by a little bit, at least. The probe actually pulled most of those lings out into the middle of the map before they realized, wait a second, you actually pylon blocked my in-base natural, so does get it down, you know, like 14 seconds, a little bit later than he normally wants to. But, okay, Stargate finished up. Oracle. He's still waiting for the gas, I guess, for it. Oh, Phoenix.
Ooh.
Cancel.
Oracle. There we go. Good man. Let's see what YoGo decides to do. Is there going to be any kind of spores? He built spores last game and there was no Oracle. This game, is he not going to build spores when there is an Oracle? Has 3 queens out already, so if ToD decides to fly to the natural base, YoGo's going to be in a great position. But if he flies to the main base and there is no spore, that could be very painful for YoGo.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also really curious when ToD is actually going to move down, probably secure that third expansion. Roachborn on the way, something that YoGo really seems to have enjoyed going for in most of these games. Really likes going for those early roaches and not just sticking around in that traditional Bling Hydra style that most Zerg players have been sticking around with for.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no... Okay, well, there's Spore in the main base, Spore in the natural. Third expansion is going to have a hard time for a bit.
Yeah, the Spore isn't in time though, so a couple of drones are going to go down. Actually, only managed to get 1. Third base drones are being rallied already, and oh no, 5 drones going down. Will ToD get a 6th one? Yes, that's massive. 6 drones with the initial Oracle. This Oracle is supposed to get a single drone. Actually, it's supposed to get 0 drones, but I could forgive 1. This is a terrible start here for YoGo. And what is the follow-up for ToD? There is a Void Ray, so he's going to play Overlord Hunter. And there is a Twilight Council, which isn't being used as of now.
Okay, well, supply blocking YoGo for a split second, but YoGo already has some of those overlords on the way. Shouldn't get supply block for too long. +1 melee also on the way fairly early on, as we've seen from YoGo pretty typically already. Oracle going to continue to maneuver around looking for any kind of damage it can get done, but the Hydra Den does come out relatively quickly this game for YoGo.
Yeah, this is a very, very quick Hydralisk then. We see 5 more drones being in production, so he's going to pull ahead quite far in the worker department. Charge starting up for ToD right now. No Forge on the map yet, which surprises me a little bit.
Ooh,
Normally you would want to get the Forge the same time as your Twilight Council. We also see ToD forgetting to put the guys in gas on his natural base. So that's going to be a little bit costly for him. It will be very difficult for him to get a lot of Templar out.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that one probe misrallied. Hiding behind the gas geyser so the supervisor doesn't notice. But Templar Archives, like you said, going to be coming up, as well as that charge upgrade, as Robotic Facility also finishing up, so he's going to eventually be able to finally get up into that Immortal tech. One of the sort of difficulties I think sometimes comes up later on in this map is getting up your 4th expansion safely as a Protoss player. Yeah, your first 3 bases are really easy to take, but it can be really easy to get caught between your 3rd and your 4th, and surrounded by Ling Hydra Baneling. We'll see if that ends up happening, or if ToD is just going to be able to make a big push out before any of that happens.
Even though the start was so terrible for YoGo, ToD has really been dropping the ball with his macro. Take a look at the worker tab and the income tab in general. There's 70 workers against it now 57, but it was 70 against 45 as well. So YoGo has really been up in workers. The only thing he's lacking is a 4th base for some reason.
Well, I guess he's pumping out a lot of these Lings, or sorry, the Banelings and the Hydras. He's got, well, not that many Banelings. 4 Banelings out right now, could make a few more. Surely he's going to try and make a big attack. Gold expansion being thrown down right in front of the probe.
Oh, ToD loses his Void Wave for free, which was guarding the other 4th location. Probe does spot the gold. And here comes ToD again with the Prism towards the main base. There is a Spore Crawler in position there. ToD trying to stay out of vision range of that Overlord. Doesn't want to be spotted going in. Actually, good defense here for YoGo. Take a look in the main base. There's 2 Spores positioned in kind of strategical locations. There is a bit of a dead space where the Prism could get in, but don't think that will work.
It'll be pretty difficult to keep it alive over there, as it would definitely be taking a couple of shots on the retreat either way. But, oh, Pylon is found. The War Prism does make it out of there alive and isn't really scouted out. I think it's just got 4 Zealots inside. 4 Zealots with charge. +2 melee about to finish up, though.
Yeah. To take a look at ToD's army's composition, this is what I meant. When he didn't put the guys in gas immediately, he waited about a minute and a half. His army is really like mineral heavy. He hardly has any gas units in there. Yes, he has a couple of Templar, but what does he have? 20 Zealots? These are just going to go on a suicidal charge into those Banelings. There's 19 Banelings, 16 Banelings on the map already, 17 more in production. And +2 melee is done already. This is one of those games which looks a lot more like my games, where you just get destroyed by Banelings. There's really not much that you can. It feels like there's not much you can do. YoGo has so many units at this point already, and ToD's army, even though it is quite big in supply, it isn't that powerful in its army composition at all.
Yeah, really going to be relying on good storms to take out those Banelings and retreat and wait for YoGo to kind of try and engage on into him. But engaging onto creep is going to be incredibly difficult for him to do. Whereas that Warp Prism did move around, ready to move into that 4th expansion location, but YoGo is very prepared with a lot of Hydras and a ton of Banelings over at this 4th, a surprisingly large number.
Yeah, he might be prepared, but he wasn't prepared for the wraparound. And now ToD is moving forward with his main army. Great Storm's actually going down, and this Zealot army looks so scary to move out on the map with. This is... If he doesn't pay attention for a second, he could basically lose his complete army within a nanosecond. There is a couple of Banelings here, 22 Banelings still alive. They come rolling forward, about 13 more in production. and the Prism goes into the natural, but YoGo is ready indeed. And I don't think there's much that ToD can do there. Oh my god, take a look at ToD's army. These High Templar were in such a dicey situation, but YoGo not really controlling his army properly. Could have gotten all of the High Templars there, but instead went up and tried to get some of the Zealots. So a little bit of an odd decision.
Yeah, maybe a little bit preoccupied trying to deal with the War Prism that was still sitting in his main base, which, by the way, did end up losing its life. So at least YoGo can shut that down. He's making a lot more Banelings, looking for another opportunity. Remember, YoGo is down 3-1 in a best of 7. If he loses this engagement, if he loses this game, he is out. This is it. This is the grand finals. But
great wraparound here by YoGo. This is almost a 180-degree surround here by YoGo, and I don't think ToD has the power to fight this kind of Hydra force. Slowly stutter stepping forward, YoGo that is, most likely going to take this game on Proxima Station, and that's going to be an important one if he does manage to take it. ToD still hanging in there, warping in another round of Zealots, and with the lack of Banelings he might be able to push this back for a bit longer, but there's so many Hydras still alive, and these +2 Banelings, they punch real hard, Ravi.
You know that when Archons are dying to Banelings that you are in a world of trouble. Time Warp goes down. It looks like ToD just going to sacrifice his gold expansion, try and warp in some Zealots. He does have a few High Templar that he also recently warped in. He's just going to make him into an Archon. Doesn't have the time to wait around for a Storm to build up energy for. And YoGo has such a large army that he's just going to sit back, macro up a little bit larger of an army, and maybe just go in on a maxed out army supply. Warp Prism also moving in along the north side, but gets caught by a couple of the Queens, already losing all of its shields. Might be able to find some damage in the natural. No, not a chance. The Hydra's already there and waiting for it. Although, that's actually a lot of Hydras that are sitting in the main base. That maybe gives ToD an opportunity? No. More than enough army at the front.
There's a lot of things ToD should be doing right now, but being on the map definitely isn't one of them. He really can be on the map at this point. He should be warping in Templar, focusing on getting his storm count up, maybe even get a couple of cannons just to defend for this incoming push, this inevitable push of Doom, which is heading towards his third base right now. What does ToD have to defend this? He has a couple of High Templars. Does he even have storms on them? No, he doesn't have any storms ready. Just now he can start storming. I don't think this is going to be enough. The 150 supply, he does have 8 Immortals, so maybe if he lands the Magical Storm, he can do it. But first storm completely misses everything. Only 2 storms left, and these need to be perfect. He cannot waste another storm.
Affliction Overcharge has already been used, and the Mothership Core is out of energy. Zealots running straight into some of those Banelings, and now there's almost nothing left to actually tank the damage for any of the remaining ones. High Templar gets a good storm down, but there's just nothing else really behind it. The Immortals units that ToD cannot afford to lose right now are starting to fall really rapidly.
Yeah, 7 Immortals still on the map, only 5 in this army. Other 2 are being rallied forward. There still is 1 Templar, but without Storm ready. And I don't understand why ToD is so keen on pushing forward, ToD. You just stopped the push that you should have never been able to stop. You're doing some damage in the third base of YoGo here. You're taking out some of his workers. Don't push forward. You need to stabilize. You need to spend that gas of yours. Oh, good Storm coming down on those Hyras though, but I really don't feel like ToD should be at this spot at this timing. This is very, very scary.
Well, he's still doing more damage inside the natural expansion. I'd like this a lot more if he had the Mothership Core with his army. He could recall out, save these Immortals, but now all of these Immortals are going to end up falling. The Hydras get straight on top of him, killing every single last one of them, as well as the Archon. And the Zealots inside the natural expansion also get cleaned up. 16 drones killed. Sure, that's all well and good, ToD. You are upping workers. But that's about all you're going to be upping for long.
Yeah, the only thing ToD is going to be up in is in score, as he might still be up in score, but I mean, this game did seem winnable for a second there once again for ToD after a great hold, but he just seemed to overextend a little bit, overestimating his position in the game as well. And now even the drones are coming off the line to join in the fray, stutter stepping forward. He doesn't care about storms anymore, he doesn't care about Immortals. YoGo is here to claim his victory. GG gets called, and YoGo takes game number 5, which puts the score at 3-2 in favor of ToD.
Okay, Harstem, we've got a series on our hands, and ToD may still be at match point, but YoGo looking for blood. Now, he's got to win 2 games in a row, at least. And I don't just mean from that last game. He needs to win 2 more games in a row if he wants to be able to take this series. And that's not going to be easy. But as we take a look what the next map is going to be, it's going to be Blood Boil? Wait. Am I looking at the right series? Odyssey, Abyssal, Defenders, Sequencer. Hold on. What map did we play a little bit ago? Well, it looks like YoGo's actually asking for a 5-minute break anyways. This has been a pretty long series, so I think that we will probably end up just taking that break. And maybe coming back in a second while we figure things out. I don't understand French.
It's going to be a 1 minute break.
1 minute break? Okay. Sounds good. Then maybe we can just stick around a little bit longer and
for
see
sure.
what's going on. Did I host the wrong map?
Did you host the wrong map, Ravi?
I don't know, man.
Oh
Hold on. What was the sequencer and then oh shoot, we did Proxima.
Yeah, it should have been Ascension.
Okay.
No one notices. Just say no to ToD and host Ascension.
Ascension.
They'll never find out.
Ascension next. Minus the fact that there are VODs. God damn it, Fear Dragon.
I mean, who really cares about these?
Yeah. Okay. Well, get the players in the game. They can have their break, but at least get the game started. Well, Ascension Ire, I think it's one of the maps that you were talking about. I'm trying to actually remember. Do you feel like Ascension Ire is a better map for Protoss or a worse map for Protoss? I think you were saying it was a worse map, right?
No, like it's better than I was comparing it to Odyssey.
Yeah.
Like Odyssey is terrible. And Ascension to Ire compared to Odyssey is probably the best map, you know?
Yeah.
But anything compared to Odyssey is going to be a good map. But yeah, ToD is he needs to pick himself up a bit, I feel like. That last game, he was getting back into it, he was making all the right moves, and then this overestimation of his own army really cost him the game, because he was actually up in workers already before he lost all of his immortals, and he did that weird push out. Of course, doing the push out did force YoGo to be a little bit more careful to what he would send back to deal with the Prism, but I feel like ToD was making all the right moves up until that point. It's just that ToD's early game has been really, really bad so far in all of these games. He's just been so far behind almost every single game, and then YoGo does an attack which doesn't really work, and then ToD counterattacks and wins the game just before Broodlord, which happened like twice now.
Yeah, it's been difficult, and if YoGo can maybe go for another one of these early game attacks or punish him in that way, or again, just maybe get up to maybe safely get up to Broodlords and finally make it to that point, you can turn this series around. But ToD is showing a couple signs of weakness. It's up to YoGo to try and exploit them. I think that we're just waiting on O Gaming, who maybe thinks that we actually had a 5-minute break instead of a 1-minute one. We may end up having a 5-minute break if O Gaming thought that.
Yeah, but man, these guys. Come on, O Gaming, get it together. Get it together, O Gaming. There's only French players in the finals. You should be just spamming that spot in the screen where the join game button is going to show up.
All right, here we go. Hopping into it. Game is finally getting underway. Still potentially match point. And taking a look at that Matcherino page, still have a pretty damn nice prize pool, $5,382. And the payouts, again, first place will take $2,150. Second place takes $1,453. So either way, these players are getting a nice little payday, but it's just a difference of how big that payday is going to be. Pretty big difference, I would say, as well. But here we go.
Yeah.
Spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Protoss player still at match point, looking to close this out. Give it up for ToD. And his opponent spawning up here in the top left-hand corner of the map. We have the yellow Zerg player. He's been able to win some games. Can he win a few more? It's YoGo.
ToD going back to his old ways of walling inside of his main base. One of these days, ToD, one of these days, you're going to meet the wrong guy. He's going to ling-a-ling.
To be fair, Harstem, on Proxima, he also walled inside of his main base. It's just that he walled inside of his main base at the ramp on Proxima.
That's a powerful argument you got there, Fear Dragon. I didn't even consider that.
He hasn't changed his behavior at all.
He hasn't. He hasn't. He isn't the changed man that I hoped, that I thought he was. He tricked, or well, the map tricked me.
Yeah. Well, maybe if we make it onto Blood Boil for Game 7, you'll get your glimpses at a hope of someone who's the changed man once again. But that'll be the game that he walls off in his main base and then grabs the more forward low ground expansion.
I got. I don't know what I would. I think I'd just leave the game.
I'm done. Not paying me enough for this.
Yeah, this torture. I don't want to see it. But yeah, let's focus on the game a bit. I think YoGo really has got the early game down against ToD. That's one of the things. Last game, let's not forget how the early game started. He lost like 6 drones to the first Oracle, which is absolutely awful. Like normally that's, I wouldn't call it game ending, but it really puts you very far behind. You need to be very greedy to catch up. And if this kind of thing happens, you're getting all in, then the game is just basically over. But YoGo still managed to be up 20 workers once ToD's third was done. So I feel like ToD just isn't really producing probes all the time, which makes him be behind in economy so much. And his builds aren't as tight as they should be either. So let's hope this game that will be a little bit different for ToD, as he still is on match point, as you mentioned.
Yeah. Maybe we can channel the spirit of Artosis, get a little bit of Archon mode going, but YoGo pulling completely out of gas after getting enough for that. Well, actually getting a little bit more than just the gas needed for Zergling speed, so grabbing his third expansion is going to have enough that if he wants to start going into like a faster Baneling nest reactively or something like that, could at least have a little bit to get started with. But First Adept makes its way across the map. In this game, it is just going to be just one Adept.
Yeah, ToD really seems to like his Stalkers as well.
Maybe it's an identification based on how he saw the series go versus Rotterdam, and just expecting a lot of those drop overlords that we really haven't seen in this series.
Yeah, it's once again, by the way, it's this weird 3-gate Mothership Core build, which he did on Sequencer, was it? Yeah, Sequencer as well. And I'm not a massive fan of this build. He did end up winning that map, but not because of his early game build. This time it's going to be a robotics facility or just straight at third base. Seems like it's just going to be straight to the third base. A couple of links do spot that, so might be a change of plan there.
Evolution Chamber on the way. A little bit later than usual, actually. Normally is able to start up that +1 melee by around 4 minutes, 10 seconds or so, but gonna be a bit later this time. Ooh, snags the third expansion worker. That's nice.
Yeah, and we don't really see anything here, but once again, 3 spores coming down, as there's not a single Oracle on the way, or DTs for that matter. So YoGo getting the short end of the stick, 3 games in a row right now.
Yeah,
he is starting his +1 and a layer.
What do you think about this robo positioning? Just like outside of the natural expansion? I don't think...
Like, it is going to be scouted, but the good thing is you don't need to remove the unit in the wall every single time you rally anymore. Which is very, very annoying. So at this point, it's not that consequential anymore if it gets scouted what you are doing, because it's it's very usual that you're going to get a robo at some point in the game. Yeah. So I don't really mind this, and the natural area on this map isn't very vulnerable either. It's not like there's going to be a Hydra Bane bar push towards this base, right? This is a terrible location for the Zerg to attack. So I actually think it's kind of a smart location for this robotics facility.
All right, lesson for my own ladder games later on, but... Oh, the Ling's gonna actually move in over here, catching a worker. and forcing an additional warp in of another Adept from ToD behind the wall, and just in case these Lings decide to get a little bit suicidal. I'm actually going to find a couple of these workers just transferring between the bases, but going to end up losing majority of these Lings in the process. Well, behind this, the Hydra Den is about halfway finished up. The Baneling Nest is finished up. And YoGo could be preparing for the more traditional Hydraling Bane big attack over at the 3rd expansion. This is one of the maps where there's a large area where you can get a nice big old surround and potentially get some good Baneling hits off on your opponents if they're not careful.
Yeah, ToD taking a very unconventional 3rd base as well, I must say. Normally you would always want to take the other 3rd base. It's a little easier to defend. As you said, it's very easy to get a big concave on this 3rd base, which usually is the 4th base. If we take a look at the income tab, this is one of the first games that I've seen ToD play where he doesn't get behind very far in workers at all. The other games where ToD wasn't behind in workers was when YoGo was trying to all-in him, but this time around, I don't think YoGo is aiming for an all-in at all. YoGo is just still happily getting a couple of drones extra. So yeah, a little bit of a better early and yeah, I guess early mid game for ToD here.
Okay, well, Lings and Banelings are all around and ready to defend against the Warp Prism, which has been getting ready to move in, but I don't think it's actually gotten a chance to try and put on any real pressure. Spore Crawl also second Spore Crawl is starting up at the main base for YoGo. I guess just to go after the Warp Prism?
Yeah.
I guess he did something similar in Proxima.
Yeah, he might, and it's a good call because ToD has been very active with his prisms. This is really the main way in which he wins his game, is his unit and his army movement, the harassment, the zealot run-bys. Because his army isn't necessarily super big or anything. It's just the way he uses his army. It's not about the size, rather.
Alright, well, Warp Prism does get scattered out by the Lings and the Banelings, so Hydra's gonna make their very slow crawl over until Muscular Augments kicks in. Warp Prism still scouted out by the Overlord, but YoGo doesn't... Okay, he does seem like he wants to go that far out. I was gonna say, maybe you don't want to get too far out of position to defend against anything else, but seems like he's just gonna move down, back over to the south side, getting a nice spot for his 3rd expansion. But man, I love YoGo's map vision right now. He just has beautiful vision, and he will see any Warp Prisms moving around the map. This is a really good response to how ToD has been playing, like you said.
Yeah, the only thing that I'm really lacking here from YoGo is the faster infestation pit. He's been having a lot of trouble killing ToD. So if every time you attack the guy, he just stops the push and then counterattacks and kills you, it might just be better to not attack and let him attack into you, because defending in almost any situation is easier than attacking. And ToD really hasn't been too quick on anticipating the Brute Lord switches. So I feel like that definitely could have some potential. Just doing a bit of a Brute Lord rush, not necessarily a rush, but just going there a bit faster. Let's say having 10-minute Brute Lords out. Because at this point, YoGo doesn't really seem to be wanting to attack it. It's just busy defending.
Oh, there's a pretty big Artosis. Oh my god, the Mothership Core actually ends up getting killed off inside the main base. At the same time that the engagement is about to happen for ToD, he's going to lose 4 of his warp gates. This is a huge deal right now.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, those Hydras are still alive as well, and he isn't warping in anything to deal with them. Some mediocre storms going down, I want to say. How many storms is there still in? Well, there's still a lot of storms in his army, but he can't really warp in because he only has about 5 active gates at this point. No 4th base here for ToD either. Big flank being set up by YoGo, but it's not going to be enough. There's only 5 Banelings left here. Good storms coming down. Prism falls, which is a very big deal. Won't be instant reinforcements now. Without that, I think this might have been lights out for YoGo, but without that Prism, ToD really doesn't have the reinforcements that he needs, and he decides to go back home, take the 4th base, and YoGo is in a massively leading position here.
Yeah, it's reflected in the supply. 50 supply ahead right now, is now making his way somewhat across the map. Could catch ToD trying to establish this 4th expansion, but I almost feel like with the army size right here for YoGo, this might be more ToD catching YoGo. Well, he's moving down the ramp. This definitely comes to a little bit more dicey of a situation. High Templars don't have enough energy for Storm.
No, they don't yet, but they very soon will have. About 20 more seconds left until they have it. And YoGo can't really engage up that ramp, so he needs to switch locations, he needs to switch gears. Where can he engage? And this is the third base of ToD is the correct decision here. ToD completely out of position as YoGo pushes toward ToD his third base right now, and this is looking very, very bad for ToD. ToD immediately evacuates the base. YoGo most likely will be able to take down that third base. And ToD is going for a bit of a base trade. Couple of Zealots making their way to the fifth base of YoGo, but that gets taken out by those Hydras that were there. Prism heading towards the main base is going to fly straight into 2 Spores. YoGo decides to turn back home. 4 DTs being warped in for ToD, which will be great in a base raid. Oh, decent storms coming down. Will those Templars live though? Yes, most of them will. 1 dies. There's still 3 storms left in his army. Here come the Banelings. Will be able to take down the last High Templar with a storm. So no more storms here for ToD. 4 new High Templars being warped in immediately. 4 Dark Templars going to start taking down that 5th base that YoGo made before, but YoGo still has 67 drones at this point and is still on a 4-base economy. ToD is rebuilding his 3rd base, yes, that's true, but his army is basically non-existent. 21 Banelings together with these Hydras are rolling forward. There's no storms here. A Zealot Warp is not going to achieve what ToD really wants to achieve.
Archon soak up most of the Banelings though, and suddenly there's actually an opportunity over here for ToD. He's bought enough time. He does have 1 or 2 storms available, and the Hydra count has definitely been reduced. Only 3 bases left over, and a lot of these drones are fighting against the DTs. DTs focus firing down all of these workers. 25 have died so far. And YoGo is not mining inside his main base. He's barely mining inside his natural, and his 3rd expansion, it's not looking super healthy right now. ToD may have actually managed to do it. He's also reestablishing his original 3rd.
Yeah, he definitely isn't in the safe yet, though. He has not a single storm in his army. There's 39 Hydras with 1/1 upgrades, plus 2 about to finish as well. A couple of Dropper Lords being morphed right now. How many Banelings does he have with his army? Only 1, but he doesn't really need that many when you have this many Hydras. He just needs a big concave and an engagement as soon as possible. He might be down in workers, but he's still up in army supply, 91 against 70 at this point. And this army of ToD consists of mainly Zealots. This is not an army that can fight the army that YoGo has over here. He does have 7 Banelings right now, which should be capable of dealing with a lot of these Zealots. YoGo trying to find a base to kill, but he should just move into the 3rd base of ToD, I feel like.
Well, he may end up inevitably doing this because ToD is so far out of position right now, trying to go over to where he thought another base was going to be reestablished, but he arrives there realizing, wait a second, there's actually nothing here. YoGo, though, doesn't decide to go for the jugular now. He says, I need to come back home to defend. I don't want to lose all of my tech. I don't want to lose my last remaining mining base. Bunch of Banelings being morphed in right in front of ToD, and they're all going to get canceled. Can YoGo make the defense work? There's a lot of storms available, and YoGo has to move up through a couple of chokes to get up to defend.
Oh, great first storm being thrown down. Feedback on the Overseer, as well as another decent storm on the ramp. There is no storms anymore in this army, however. There's a couple of... Oh, actually, just as I say that, another storm goes down. Did not see that High Templar at all. Little bit of a run by happening towards ToD's 4th base with 2 Dropper Lords. And this game is turning absolutely crazy. 22 probes went down during all of this. The 4th base has been established for YoGo, but YoGo only is on 31 drones at this point.
Nice micro from YoGo with these drop overlords and the Hydras. A single Immortal is going to try and greet them and say, well, I have a range attack, but that's not going to turn out super well for him. He's going to retreat back, and seems like YoGo has been able to push back the majority of ToD's army, especially with these drop overlords. I mean, effectively pulling the entire army back with just 4 Hydras and 2 drop overlords, which he keeps most of them alive, too.
Yeah, what an absolutely crazy game here on Ascension to Ire. Game number 6, ToD on match point, and 15 minutes in game. The worker counts are 31 and 39, and there's 5 lurkers on the way. Where's the detection for ToD? There's not a single observer on the map, and there's not an oracle either. So there's no detection for ToD. If ToD does not see those lurkers before the fight, this could be... that could be game ending. He does see the lurkers now. Do not fight here, ToD.
Oh my God,
this is not
ToD.
the place you want to be fighting.
He's losing so many of his zealots from these lurker shots. Storms going down and do cover the Hydralisks, but To what end? He's lost almost all. Okay, you know, he actually loses nearly every single zealot. And the Hydra's going back into the main base, going to depower yet another one of these pylons. We have just a really tough situation for ToD.
Yeah, at the same time, he did attempt to do a run-by on the forward base, but this one spine crawler got transfused about 6 times. He started with 10 or 9 zealots, and there's only 4 left, decides to retreat as the fight ends. YoGo is going to defend that base with a single lurker, a spore, an overseer, and a spine. That's no half measure there, Ravi. Oh, look at this location which YoGo can siege from the low ground. If he has some high ground vision, these probes won't be able to mine.
Oh man, these lurkers are going to make it nearly impossible to engage into, and ToD is once again just going for a quasi-base trade situation. Does he have any observers coming out? Does he have any form of detection coming at all? I mean, we haven't seen... he has the robo, but he's not really making anything, it feels like.
Yeah, he really isn't, which is quite surprising. He just seems to be ignoring these lurkers, and right now ToD is in a very good position, I must say. This position just above the ramp is great. He should not allow YoGo to just move up there for free. There should be storms. He is going to be stuck in this corner though. If there is lurkers and you don't have observers, you cannot kill these lurkers. Lurkers are about to burrow. Will he be able to target them down? No. Might get one with the storm. No, barely survives. ToD moving up into the main base, starts targeting down the lurker then. Hydras are moving up the ramp, targeting down one immortal. Oh my god, what a game this is. There still is one kind of mining base for ToD. I want to say it's mining, but it really isn't, as the probes are completely bugging out. And now ToD's army is about to get cleaned up in YoGo's main base. And so, oh no, ToD is not walking into these lurker shots.
Okay, he's finally making an observer now, and I mean, if he can take care of that overseer, maybe some of these DTs can make some magic happen, but he loses the remainder of his army. He's long distance mining with a lot of his workers, even though he does have that other, he has 2 expansions he can start transferring them to. Really needs to get on top of that. He has the observer now out, but 3 DTs, 2 High Templar, and a single Zealot is the entirety of the army for ToD, and he's up against what is that, 4 lurkers and 10 hydras, which is already way more than I think ToD can handle. Doesn't even have any photon overcharges going to be available. I guess there's no overseer with this army. He has the resources for it. He could warp in a DT, but he doesn't have the gas or the minerals.
A DT and a dream is all that we need, Ravi. But at this point we don't have a DT, so all there's left is the dream, and this dream is about to burst for ToD, because what does he still have going for him? The answer is practically nothing. There is a lurker sieging his only base, which could be mining. He's going to clean up that lurker with the DT observer combination. But
finally does. Oh, good reaction from YoGo. Really quick on unburrowing and running away.
Yeah, there's no pressure on YoGo to attack now. I mean, he could, but he really doesn't need to. He's on 2 mining bases, 23 drones. He gets 1,000 minerals a minute. ToD gets about 500.
What a booming economy, 23 workers.
Yeah, this is quite the game. 20 minutes in game and 23 workers. That's just crazy. Lurker burrowing just below the 3rd base. The 4th base of ToD.
Actually, got to be careful with that overseer. He doesn't want to lose that high ground vision right now. The photon cannon not in range for this lurker. In range to detect, but gonna end up losing some of those workers. That worker advantage he had, all but a distant memory. Archon also ends up falling.
Yeah, and with the mining of this base, so fall the dreams of ToD to take this series 4-2, because he really doesn't have any income whatsoever to speak of. He has some, I guess he has some long distance mining going on, but what does that give him? Like 2 zealots a minute? On the other hand, we see YoGo reproducing drones and just adding onto this mighty army of Hydra, Baneling, Ling. YoGo also with some very powerful upgrades here. The +2 range on the Hydras, the +2 melee attack, and here we go. Most likely the final engagement of this game if YoGo manages to press the A button and click on one of ToD's units.
One of the most difficult parts about this game, indeed, Harstem, but, well, these lurkers still giving ToD quite a bit of trouble, but maybe just kind of collecting himself and thinking about, okay, well, game number 7. If it's gonna go there, it's going to Blood Boil, which has been a map that a lot of pro players are feeling a lot better about ever since the change from the gold expansion into a regular expansion. It's not exactly the worst thing in the world, but ToD has really just been losing so much momentum in these past 3 games. Even in the game that he won, clearly ended up, I guess, I don't know, affecting him, and hasn't been doing quite as well since then.
Yeah, definitely hasn't been. We do see he has 1 mining base right now, and he has a Templar who's gathering some energy, but I mean, it's 20 workers against 34, and he's down 50 supply already. YoGo slowly starting to rebuild his economy, getting a second Hydralisk then as well, just in case the other one dies, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. He already has one, still finished at that 3rd, but okay, Here we go. Surely this is where YoGo cleans up the army, as I think just the Hydras alone could take this army, much less with the Banelings and the Lings. But 2 Lurkers also going to join into the fray. Got an Overseer over here to detect against DTs, and GG gets called. YoGo ties it up. We are going to the rubber match.
Man, that's a crazy, crazy series to end this tournament with. 3-3 right now.
Absolutely great final day for the EsportsEarnings Caster Invitational. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking a lot about how there's not that many opportunities left to check out that Matcherino page, to go look at the EsportsEarnings site. Of course, you have plenty of time to check out the EsportsEarnings site. Highly implore you guys to do so whenever you want. But check out that Matcherino page if you're interested in getting a shirt. This may be one of your final opportunities to, before the tournament starts to close out. We're hopping onto Blood Boil for game number 7. And Harstem, I asked you at the very beginning of the series, predictions, who you thought was going to win this. You said ToD. Is your heart still sitting with ToD? Do you still feel good about your ToD prediction?
Yeah. You see, when you pick someone to win, you got to stick with the man to the end. And I'm sticking with ToD till the end. Even if it's Blood Boil, even if it was Defender's Landing, I would believe in my man. It's Blood Boil, which is a lot better than Defender's Landing, that's for sure, but might not be the best Protoss map in the pool.
All right, Harstem. Well, I'm going to stick to my guns and say that I think Rotterdam is going to be able to take this tournament as we get ready to hop onto Blood Boil. I think we're just waiting for the players to get into the lobby. ToD is already here. YoGo collecting himself, using the bathroom for his final chance. The loser of this series will no longer be able to use the bathroom because that's just how intense this series was. But yeah, okay. Here we go. YoGo, come on. I believe. There we go. ToD giving the go-ahead. YoGo, let's do this. And one final time, before we probably do this one more time after the series is completed. The Matcherino page still up to $5,382, as I'll refresh and just make sure. Yep, $5,382. If you guys are interested in contributing to the prize pool or picking up any of these beautiful t-shirts, take a look at the t-shirt standings to see who has sold the most. We got Pig with 1, Artosis with 3, Rifkin with 3, Coco with 2, Rotterdam at 4, Wardy with 0, Maynard with 10, Zombie Guard with 2. We got ToD with 6. Man, I think he deserves a few more. Me with 0. And, of course, some of those Match Arena shirts and hoodies still available as well. But, ladies and gentlemen, we're hopping into it. Our final guaranteed game, unless there's some weird tie game situation in this best of 7. Here we go. Let's jump in and introduce the players. Spawning up here in the top left-hand corner of Blood Boil, we have the yellow Zerg player, able to make a huge comeback in this series. Give it up for YoGo.
And in the bottom right, spawning as the blue Protoss player. First up 2-0, now 3-3. Will he be able to do it? It is ToD.
Oh, Harstem, he has been dying for that one final game, that one last game to close out the series and put an end to the madness that has been whatever this series is. I don't even know what to call it anymore. And
Yeah, this has been an absolutely mental series. You know, something else that is absolutely mental is
He
ToD
didn't
walling
wall
off
off.
behind his mineral line. Like,
Behind his, I love that. It's not even walling off his mineral line at the front, you know, trying to cut off the area where lings would come in if there was a big ling flood. No, it's walling behind his mineral line.
to be fair, at this map, it really doesn't matter because your second pylon can just be in the front and you can wall off with one other 3x3 building practically.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much irrelevant, but most people would still wall at the front. It's a lot easier to defend any kind of early pools with that.
Well, no early pool in the works for YoGo. He has been sticking with Hatchgat's pool for nearly the entirety of this series, and even a decent chunk of the series versus Rotterdam. But got a probe coming out in scouting. Game 7, take no risks, Harstem. Takes a very, very scary player to take a huge risk in Game 7.
Yeah, it definitely does. But YoGo might be the scary player. We don't know. I've never seen him play a best of 7 before, and I don't think ToD has either. So rather be safe than sorry. And that scout actually was pretty late. So if it would have been an early pool, ToD would have been in a little bit of trouble. Once again, we see the fast mothership core after the stalker. So ToD following his own shenanigans. Is he going to hunt some overlords? It does not seem like it. He's not going outside at least for the purpose of overlord hunting.
Yeah. How do you feel about when Protoss players just go and try and knock down those rocks at the back door? I rarely see the backdoor rocks ever end up actually being utilized, but once in a blue moon, someone will forget to knock them down.
The ones you would like start knocking them down right now.
The collapsible rocks, not the destructible rocks.
You mean he would do it right now? That's not absolutely mental. Why would you do that?
No, not right now. I'm saying every so often you do see a player forget to knock them down though.
That's true. That's true. And it could be very bad. Oh my god. ToD is getting caught out of position, but he has plenty of units, so he's still going to get the overlord as well, I think. There's nothing in the wall at home though, so our good French Zerg player could just walk up that ramp. Oh, there's an adept now actually, so I'll take that back.
Alright. He's going to be able to clean up all of these lings potentially. As the final shot from the adept cleans it up. He gets an overlord, he gets a handful of the lings. YoGo has 4 more out of the map, and he also has an evolution chamber finishing up. And this is also not too bad of a map in terms of angles that you can start sending those drop overlords into. But YoGo, he has overlord speed already researched and just kind of scouting around, trying to see what he can find. Did he see the Twilight Council just yet? I can't see the Twilight Council. There it is. No, hasn't seen it yet.
Hidden in plain sight.
There you go.
To be fair, I don't think...
Yeah.
Sorry?
Oh, I was just going to say, even with Overlord speed, hasn't scouted it.
Yeah, but the thing with Overlord speed is, especially if there is a Stalker out, which there is, you can't just keep sending in the same Overlords over and over. So you have to kind of refresh them. So and that can be quite APM intensive. Hold that thought though, as we do have ToD moving across the map with a bunch of adepts. Probably going to split them 2 by 2, or just going to send all 4 in. Should definitely cancel. Yeah, good cancel there by ToD. Does force out a lot of links. 27 links being built. ToD tries to take the tower with 1 adept. That 1 adept will has to make up his will real fast. And down it goes. Hope he left his resources to his kids.
Well, adepts are females, right? So her resources.
Oh, really? Are all adepts females?
I don't know lore-wise, but I know in the game I have never seen a male adept. Can't you tell by the voice?
I don't have the voices turned on. I'm not a cat.
Oh my god. Where is your passion?
Unbelievable. So ToD getting caught out in the middle of the map a little bit. +1 not finished yet for YoGo, so this trade actually isn't too bad. He keeps 1 adept alive, and he just trades minerals for minerals. Not that big of a deal whatsoever. We have very similar worker counts here for both players, which in my experience means that this game is going well for ToD, because most of the games ToD has been down like 35 workers at the 5-minute mark for some unexplainable reason. But this time around, it's it's within the margins of being acceptable. So if ToD can win a game being down 35 workers at the 5-minute mark, I'm sure he can do it while being approximately equal. We
He
see
felt
10
the
more
Harstem
workers.
judgment.
Yeah.
Decided to recorrect.
We see 10 more workers being created. YoGo going up to the beautiful drone count of 71. Being a little bit oversaturated on his third base right now. Here comes the transfer to the fourth, going to be long distance mining. It's a little undersaturated in the main though, so he could fix that as well, but no hard feelings there, YoGo. He's going into that Hydra Bane composition once again, as we have seen in the previous 6 games. And there is +2 melee on the way already. And there is Overlord speed, and
a couple of drop overlords also being made.
Yeah. I know something about you, YoGo. +2 banelings do a lot of damage.
Yeah, especially versus workers. And you might say that they're pretty damn good at obliterating them. One baneling required to kill a worker that has +2 melee. Gonna hit with these drop overlords right before +2 melee finishes up, but it's only lings inside of them. They still will benefit, of course, from +2 melee and kill those probes a little bit faster. But ooh, guess who's out of position?
I'm not a fan of this at all. Yeah, but he can just... The thing with Lynx is, you can just fly over with your Mothership Core, and there is 2 pylons there. He can even warp in like 2-3 Zealots, use 1 overcharge, and he should be fine as long as he responds in swift fashion. Which it does seem like he does. 5 Zealots being warped in immediately. Probably going to see an overcharge as well. And yeah, this is really no issue for ToD at all. His Prism stays alive as well on the other side of the map with the 4 adepts inside, and ToD's army is starting to grow and starting to look scarier and scarier. There's only 2 banelings on the map right now, and there's 6 High Templars. Some High Templars getting... Actually, there's 8 High Templars. Some High Templars getting very close to having 2 storms right now. YoGo did morph a couple of banelings with his drop, so, and ToD is moving there with his Prism to check that out. But YoGo loads up. This could do a lot of damage. There is 2 cannons here though. Oh, yeah, good reaction there by YoGo.
But he's got to also be prepared inside the 3rd expansion. There are the photon cannons there, but again, banelings will one-shot the workers. So, is he spreading creep to allow the banelings to run in faster?
This is something we haven't seen very often. Here we go, moving in, and these are going to be a lot of death probes. A couple of banelings dropping on the wrong side of things, and this was not what I was expecting. I was expecting the 23 probe wipeout, but instead we got the 9 probes going down. That's not really what YoGo wanted here. YoGo, who is stacking to that height, who is taking that spire, but it is once again a little late, and ToD has different plans for him. ToD already thinking about posturing on the map a little bit. I don't think ToD can actually move here though. This is not a fight that ToD can take. I feel like he's going to need some really good storms, and he gets some really good storms. Oh my god. Feedbacking the overseers as well for an inexplainable reason, but those were some good storms, and that was a very good trade there for ToD.
Yeah, he has a couple Archons being made right now. They're going to absorb some of the shots. Good storms also locking down the remaining banelings. Only Hydra's left over, and the Immortals plus the Archons should be able to deal with that. Now, ToD does not have a Warp Prism because he's been making so many of those Immortals. He lost the Warp Prism earlier on, which is definitely a little bit painful for him. But that's going to force him to back up. He has the 4th expansion alive now, but he needs to start transferring some workers over. He's actually pretty oversaturated in some of his bases. I think now just transferring some of the workers from his main over. This is going to give YoGo time, though, to start replenishing that army supply.
Yeah, I'm not afraid for the replenishing of the army supply. If I'm imagining I'm in ToD's position here. What I'm afraid of are the Brute Lords, and Brute Lords are only a minute and a half, 2 minutes away at this point. There's another Baneling drop loading up, ready to get some damage into the 3rd base of ToD, and this time around, ToD isn't going to get away so easy. 10 probes already going down, 7 more with the next drop, 17 probes within 3 seconds. That's it's got to be a record of some sorts. Here we go, though.
These banelings not exactly morphing in the greatest spot, and ToD, he lost a lot of his Zealots. Granted, he's still got a lot of other units back at home. and he could make that big push out pretty soon. As you were saying, the Greater Spire is getting incredibly close to completing, and ToD has to make his push out soon. Well, here we go.
No, YoGo. YoGo should really try to attempt some kind of base trade, force ToD to go back, because he cannot fight this army whatsoever. This army is way too big of ToD. ToD's army supply equal to actually way ahead of YoGo, about up 15 supply. And he should fight this. There are Brood Lords coming out within 10 seconds, ToD. You should really start posturing forward. Try to at least take that gold down before the Brood Lords arrive. 7 more probes going down. Good drops here by YoGo, but his army is so small right now. He needs those Brood Lords. Without the Brood Lords, his army is useless.
Oh, Harstem, he only has 1 Corruptor out. He's making a 2nd Corruptor. These Brood Lords are not going to be coming in a giant wave like a hammer. They're more going to just be a little stream trickling in and lobbing occasional broodlings at his opponent. This is not the way that YoGo wanted this to go. He needs to buy even more time now. It's not just until getting out those broodlords, it's until getting up a critical mass of them.
Yeah, I feel like getting 3 or 4 Broodlords would really be enough. Like, his army isn't big, but it isn't complete garbage either. I mean, he can hold on a little bit with that. He just needs that added boost of the Broodlords, and ToD isn't going to be happy seeing that 1 Broodlord. It will force a response from ToD. He needs the storm. He needs the storm well. And oh my god, are these some good storms. And ToD is not doing it, winning his own tournament in the final game of the day. The final game of this series. ToD is pushing forward, taking down the gold base. 2nd Broodlord is morphing in, but won't even make it out alive. Gets killed as a Corruptor. 2 queens alive with a couple of transfuses. Will they be able to hold this? It's going to be very, very hard for YoGo to do. He does have the ramp, though. He does have the ramp. There's 1 queen with full energy going down before using a single transfuse. More drones going down on the 5th base of YoGo. 3rd base being completely destroyed, and ToD is pushing forward.
Continues to push forward, but eventually backing up, saying, okay, well, the 1 Broodlord is actually enough of a scare, considering there could always be a 2nd or a 3rd coming out. ToD has already done so much damage, but there is this other bottom left-hand base. If ToD just leaves right now, has it actually been enough? Can YoGo bounce back from this? There are double Stargates coming up behind this, and there's actually a surprising number of buildings depowered inside of ToD's main base.
Yeah, the Hydra drop, the Doom Hydra drop, 3 Hydras with a dream. Have been putting in some work, but I mean, ToD is up 40 supply, and there's only 1 Broodlord at this point. 2nd Broodlord morphing in, 2 Stargates on the way. Once those Stargates finish, it's going to be very, very difficult for YoGo to do anything here. Fleet Beacon not started yet for ToD, but ToD thinks he can just push with this army, and he might actually ride 4 Archons in there, just targeting down that 4th base, which is the only real base mining at this point, as Zealots are ravaging the 3rd, Prism going into the natural, ToD doing what he's best at, multitasking, and it looks like he's going to take the final game of this series.
Yeah, pushes forward, takes out the last remaining Broodlord and all of the remaining Hydras. Also moving into that natural expansion with the Warp Prism, 2 Immortals and 2 Zealots. ToD is just cleaning up everything. The Baneling Nest goes down, 7 Hydras on the way, but Storms are there to greet them. And ToD, I mean, he put up such a valiant effort in getting up ahead in the series. It was looking a little bit grim for him for a while, but being able to pull it back after allowing the series go back to Game 7, ToD closes it out, finally can breathe a sigh of relief as he wins the EsportsEarnings Caster Invitational. Could be dubbed the strongest caster there ever was.
The strongest caster there ever was. Unbelievably well played here by ToD, winning the tournament that he set up himself. Big congratulations to ToD, and he can go on and play some Warcraft 3, as I believe that was in the plans for him. But yeah, massive shout out to him for winning his tournament.
Yeah, winning your own tournament always feels good, and of course, doing it in such a spectacular fashion. I mean, some very, very good games. I'm sure you can walk away very happy. And, well, not only probably the strongest physically, not only the strongest caster physically, but also in the game of StarCraft. I mean, he already kind of had the physical build, the MMA fighter build, but now he can boast that he is the best commentator at StarCraft 2. feels good, man. Feels good.
It really does feel good to be told.
Just
And that was
absolute dominance across the entire board of commentators. But all right. That is going to do it for us today. Thank you all so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. I want to remind you guys one final time, of course, this is called the Esports Earning Casters Invitational. It would not be possible without, of course, esportsearnings.com. Be sure to check out this website. I know I saw Grubby in the chat earlier. He's a former StarCraft player. So we'll go ahead and search him up and see how much money this man has won, because he's also played a couple of games, Harstem. He's played, of course, a few of them.
Yeah, I played a couple of games back in the day. Yeah, one of the Warcraft 3 legends turned into StarCraft 2 legend. Now Heroes of the Storm legend. So
yeah, I did not know that Grubby has winnings in Hearthstone.
Oh yeah, he has winnings everywhere. Man. This man's been winning left, right, and center, my friend.
What an absolute legend! And of course, you can find out more about Grubby and anyone else that you want to over on the Esports Earning website. Be sure to check it out. Give them a little love, because they helped, of course, make this beautiful tournament possible. Of course, big shout out also to Matcherino, who of course hosted up and allowed us to have all these wonderful shirts. Of course, the crowdfunding also very much possible by Matcherino. And yeah, some really, really great stuff. There's still those shirts available. I'm not sure how long the Matcherino is actually going to be open. If you want to make your final purchases for any of those, as well as, of course, looks like the coaching from TKL has been purchased, but there's still that team 1 hour arranged teams with TKL. If you're interested in buying it, last chance to do so. But that is going to be it. So Harstem, final thoughts, final shout outs. How you feeling, man?
Shout out to all the people for watching, and for ToD for inviting me to cast this beautiful tournament. And of course, big shout out to Esports Earnings and Matcherino for helping to set this up. But once again, big shout out for ToD, as he has been putting a lot of work into this, and this was not easy to set up. So the ultimate reward for setting up such a difficult to run tournament, I guess, is winning it yourself. So congrats once again to ToD, and I hope everyone enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely add to that and say, as someone who also tries to organize tournaments, running a tournament with people who are incredibly busy and not even necessarily always most focused on playing the game of StarCraft, but casting it. So in some ways, it's not always going to be the #1 priority if they have some other big event or something they need to cast. Then trying to get them to sit down in 4 different time zones of Korea, Australia, Europe, and North America. That is indeed a feat in and of itself. So big thank you to ToD for organizing all this. I think everyone had a lot of fun with it. And yeah, I think that's going to be it. I don't believe there's anything else left to do. So Harstem, I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. And of course, joining Total Biscuit and ToD himself in some of the previous days. Hopefully you had a lot of fun, as it sounds like you did, and that is going to be it. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.